Now, cheap equals weak when we're talking about wood, not applicable at all. Did you hear me try to say applicable and
You-
fail miserably?
yeah.
Yeah. Good morning, I'm Ted Cook. This is my brother Jason. We're with reallycheapfloors.com, and this is our next installment of, what do we call this? Podcast questions?
Podcast.
Question and answering. We've covered this a little bit in the past. Jason has been working in installation for the last 25 years. I've been hanging around the store doing virtually nothing for 30 years, and we feel like we're in a pretty good position to answer most of the questions you can throw at us. So let's get started. Jason, this is an interesting one. First question here. What was the worst installation you ever had to do?
Well, usually installations ain't too bad. It's what you have to do before some of the installations.
Floor prep?
Well, take-ups.
Yeah.
If you're taking up glue down wood or some carpet
Yeah.
that's been down there and they use the wrong glue. But the worst floor job I ever put down, you remember the pallet of unfinished you bought that was just on the pallet and not bound? So you cut it open and
Yeah.
it's all loose.
I knew I'd get some of the blame here, but yes.
Well, every board
it was cheap. It was a great deal.
Every board was probably 8 to a foot long, but you had to carry them in a trash can to take them in the house. That would probably be the worst installation I ever did.
Thanks for sharing that.
Okay, you're welcome.
Well, while you mentioned it, well, I know which one worst one we ever did. We had to take up some parquet flooring.
Yeah.
The old parquets and strips, and you know it's an engineered floor. Fortunately, there wasn't a whole lot of it, but we were trying to take it up, and the top layer would rip off, and then it had little pieces run perpendicular to the face. Literally, the pieces all came up about half the size of the last knuckle of your pinky. It took forever. Okay, yeah, that's installation. We got some great stories there.
Yeah.
All right, can you vacuum dust and dirt off of hardwood floors? Absolutely. You just have to lift the beater bar or turn the beater bar off and let it vacuum rather than pick it up. Most of the manufacturers don't like beater bars hitting on their surface. I honestly don't think it'll hurt it, but the manufacturers do recommend the beater bar gets taken out of it. Okay, Jason, what can damage solid hardwood flooring and how can I avoid it?
What we hear most is people get moisture in their wood, and you get the cupping issues. Can it be fixed? Yes, but you need to catch it quick. Either turn the air conditioner down or throw some dehumidifiers in there. But can you damage wood? Yes. I mean, you can't just slide anything you want across it, especially something heavy. Can it be fixed? It's easier to replace a board than it is to try to fix a scratch.
Right. Replacing a board
Right.
isn't really that hard. It's hard for me, but it's not hard for Jason. But you've got some videos on YouTube how to change out a board.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have to change out a board, watch that. Now, something you can do for hardwood is you can put the pads on the bottom of your furniture because it's inevitable. Some people I've heard like to move their furniture around and they want to just slide it. And after you slide it, maybe find out that the little plastic glide that's on the bottom is broken off and there's a nail sticking out or something. But just once every 3 or 4 years, put new pads on the bottom of your furniture and you slide it around.
Dining room table chairs.
Yeah.
Change them periodically because them's the ones you moving
Right.
daily, or bar stools.
And don't slide chairs with your bottom in them, okay?
Right.
Pick them up and move them. Okay. Can LVP flooring get damaged or scratched easily from furniture? Scratching easily, that's one of those opinion questions. Can it get damaged from furniture? Yes, any floor can get damaged from furniture. There are two different kinds of LVP. There's the WPC and the SPC. The WPC floor is softer, has a softer core. The surface is still as strong and scratch resistant as an SPC floor, but that core, that soft, quiet core, is bad to let a floor indent. And that's really the only knock on a WPC floor. They dent terrible. So an SPC floor, you can get one of those and they're really hard to dent. Now, I've been told, we'll have more information in a couple of weeks, that Shaw's getting ready to come out with a new floor that has a scratch warranty on it. Actually, it's a warranty not to scratch. We're meeting with them a week from tomorrow, so we'll have more information on that for you really soon. Jason, how hard is it to install transition strips between luxury vinyl plank and hardwood?
Oh, it's fairly simple. If it's on wood, you know, just take the finish nail or nail it down, or if you don't have finish nail, you can drill holes and use finish nails and then just set the finish nail and putty it.
Just watch your fingers.
Right, don't hit your fingers. If it's on concrete, it's just you need to take some silicone or liquid nail and just glue it down.
Now, most of the time when we're putting transition strip between LVP and hardwood, it's probably going to be a reducer
Usually
or a
going to be a
T-mold.
reducer or some kind of lap over T-mold. It's just according to the thickness of the woods and the vinyl planks.
Right, but we can't nail through the LVP, can we?
No, you just nail through the wood.
Through the wood or through the center part that
Through the
touches,
center,
like a
it
T-mold.
touches either.
Right, okay, all right. What kind of flooring is best for a kitchen, Jason? Ceramic tile, engineered hardwood, or luxury vinyl plank? This customer's in South Florida.
I think it's a personal choice. My choice is vinyl plank. It's one of my favorite floors out there.
My choice is whichever one's cheapest.
Well,
I'm kind of cheap.
I don't like ceramic. I think ceramic's cold, but they use it a lot in Florida.
I don't like cleaning the grout. I only had it
I
in
don't
my house.
either.
I don't like cleaning the grout.
But anyway, my choice would be the luxury vinyl plank.
But get what makes you happy.
Yeah.
Every decision we make in
Right.
picking out a floor is about what's best for you, okay? Whether it's like me based on budget, whether it's like Jason because you're much more practical, it might be because of the perfect color or whatever. Get what's best for you. What makes you happy at the end of the
We
day?
can't pick it out for you.
No. If we did, we'd pick out the cheaper stuff. Yeah. Okay. Procore from Lowe's for $1.68 has a 3.2 mil wear layer and is 3.5 millimeters thick. Your Hazel Creek has a 12 mil wear layer and is a 4.4 millimeter thick at $1.79. No contest, right? Well, I am really scared of a floor that has a 3.2 mil wear layer. That's not a lot of wear layer. 3.5 millimeter thick versus 4.4, that means you're giving up 25% of the thickness. I think that's a really good example of, we've talked before about the balancing layer. When these companies start making these really thin overall floors, what's going away? You know, it's something's not there. And in this case, it's the balancing layer. And when you buy a floor without a balancing layer, if you get direct sunlight on it or when you get big moisture change, you're going to get more expansion, contraction, you're going to get warping, you're going to get boards separating, and that's not covered by warranty, okay? Now, as you know, I like to save money, but I like the good stuff for less money, not the cheap, junky stuff at 10 cents less. So Hazel Creek is a great buy at $1.79, but honestly, you can go to our 20 mil Mills River for another 20 cents with a cork back and a 20 mil wear layer for $1.99. That's a no-brainer. Okay, here's one that you think I need to answer. Some people say that cheap equals weak. Is that true? No. Supply and demand is the rule in flooring, with wood flooring. With LVP, there is no cabin grade. There's not different grades of wood. It's a manufactured product. So as a general rule, you're going to get what you pay for. Sometimes you'll see more value based on how we've bought something or a deal we've made. And fortunately with LVP, you can compare specifications. Find the specifications that's important to you. Do you really need the stability of a high-end floor? Do you want the registered embossing, or get what you need? Now, cheap equals weak when we're talking about wood, not applicable at all. Did you hear me try to say applicable and fail miserably? Yeah. I'm a huge fan of, like in our engineered wood, our Blue Label. Our Blue Label floors sell for about $1.50. Okay. Blue Label is graded out of the first quality that sells for $6 or $7 after it's constructed. So it has the same core, has the same finish, it's made from the same wood. The differences are aesthetic, okay? So are those weak? Well, only if the first quality is weak too, So no, it's all about supply and demand.
I don't think a few knots and a few wormholes makes a four-way view.
I don't think so at all.
Gives a little character.
Yeah. And the reason that we're so cheap on it is the manufacturer that makes that has decided that they would rather move it quickly to us and lose a little more money than having to sell it slow out through their distributors for a little bit more money. I happen to really like that plan. So it gives us an opportunity to sell a well-constructed.
Whaley.
Haven't had enough Mountain Dew this morning. A well-constructed product for under $2. Okay, we need to give you some of these. Oh, here you go.
Okay.
How heavy is a box of solid wood flooring? I want to know if I could do it myself, the installation.
Box of wood, the average solid is going to weigh 74 pounds.
74, where'd you get that number?
Just off the top of my head, the hickory is going to weigh roughly around 80 pounds a box. Can I do it myself? If you can carry the wood. If not, hire your boy to get it in your house and lay it out in your rooms, and you already got it in there.
Well, and if you buy from us, we will carry it into your rooms, and then you don't have to carry it.
If you're within our delivery radius.
If you're within our delivery,
Yes.
excuse me, yes. Now, he's thrown those numbers out. He really made those up. Solid wood will weigh about 3 pounds a foot. Hickory's a little heavier than oak, and it depends on which company is. Shaw likes to put 27 feet in a box. Those doggone boxes can get heavy in a hurry. They can get almost 90 pounds. Somerset, usually, 20 pounds to a box? They're 20 feet. 25, so yeah, they're 70
it's going to weigh 74 pounds a box.
They're pretty heavy. Let's see
For
here.
some of us.
Okay, here's something that I was really wondering. What would be a good choice of flooring for a boat or cruise liner? Because I'd like to buy a cruise ship. You know, they're cheap right now.
Yeah, you need one.
I do. Take all my buddies.
Yeah.
What would be a good flooring choice for a boat?
I would say a floating LVP. You get so much movement. I would think a floating floor would do the best. Do it nothing fasten, because if it comes loose, you're gonna get a pop or a squeak or.
Yeah, wood's going to be too rigid. Certainly, ceramic tiles out.
Right.
Wood would be a little bit too rigid. Weight is an issue in a boat as well. We really need to keep the weight down. So, because wear isn't typically a big issue. If it was a commercial boat, maybe wear's an issue, and I would buy a high quality product. Any other time,
I'd use a glue down LVP.
Depends on what your floor is.
It is.
Yeah. You might get by with a glue down. Look at your floor. Is it smooth? Is it made of wood? Is it metal? How well how much water is it going to get? If it's going to get any water on it, it's got to be a floating floor. Okay, what's the best flooring for my sunroom in Knoxville, Tennessee? Well, that's a good question. Wood will patina over time. The darker the wood it is, the lighter it gets. The lighter it is, the darker it gets. It kind of messed up, but like a walnut floor gets really light. Hickory floor can patina quite a bit and get darker, as will a pine floor. So I probably, unless I'm ready for that color change, I would stay away from a wood floor. LVP is a great option for a sunroom, but if you're going to buy an LVP, make sure you buy a little bit higher end product, one that has the balancing layer. All of our Cortec and our 7 series have the balancing layer, but if you don't have that, when it gets that direct sunlight on it, it's going to cause it to warp. You're going to get some separation. So be careful there. Another option would be ceramic tile, but in Knoxville, Tennessee, by the time you pay for the tile and the grout and the labor, you're going to have $7 or $8 a foot in it, and it's going to be pricey. So I would think an LVP would be the right product there.
As long as it's an acclimated room.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Jason, how long does it take, it doesn't say this, how long does it take the average contractor to install 1,000 square feet of hardwood floor? Or this gentleman, this is his first do-it-yourself install, and YouTube is teaching him the way. How long is it going to take him?
The average installer that does it every day probably going to lay around 500 square foot a day. A first-time do-it-yourselfer, I would say you're only going to do, just learning, you're going to do about 250 square foot a day, so 1,000 square foot is going to take you 4 or 5 days.
Right. And don't lose hope, because that first day is the hard one. First day maybe you're taking up your old carpet, you're getting started maybe on a long wall, and getting started is annoying. If you can get 100 feet down that first day, you've had a good day. And think of it.
If you're going to save money, even
if
if it does take you a week,
that's right.
You're saving $1,500 or more.
Right. Yeah. Unless you lose a finger or something.
Right.
I've seen that trick. Anyway.
Then you lose more.
Then you lose more. Right. But don't you have some videos on YouTube how to install a floor?
I do. I have them how to start and.
Starting's huge.
Yeah,
If you're ever going to do your first do-it-yourself floor, watch Jason's starting video. If you don't get it started correctly, there's no way you can finish it correctly, okay? Can't stress enough. Watch his video and let's get this floor started first. We want you to be happy with this floor because we want you to buy a bunch more from us later. All right, Jason, this customer's, the carpets are about 10 years old and they're thinking about getting some hardwood flooring. Should they replace their carpet with hardwood flooring?
Yeah.
Duh. Of course you should.
Yeah, I would think so. More people are getting rid of their carpets. Wood's just easier to keep, easier to maintain. Nothing wrong with carpet. We sell carpet. But it's just what everything's trending to right now.
And it's hard surface is quite practical.
Yeah.
We all like an easier life, and we can put a hard surface, whether it's LVP or hardwood, in our living room, and if the dog has an accident, if the kid makes a spill, grandkids spill something, we don't have to stress about it. And if taking the stress out of your life isn't your number one concern today, let's work on it, okay? Let's get the stress out of our life, and having hard surface is a good place to start. Okay, Jason, is there anything bad about maple hardwood flooring? Is red oak more sturdy?
No, nothing. I don't have anything bad about maple hardwood. And is it more? I don't think oak's any more sturdy than maple.
Well, there's two different kinds of maple. There's soft
there
maple
is.
and there's hard maple. And a soft maple will jank at about 1,000, 1,050. That's usually your red maple. Hard maple, sugar maple will jank up there about 1,300. It's actually harder than red oak.
Yeah.
I love maple. I love the straight grain of maple. Also with maple, you've got low-graded maple and high-grade maple. High-grade maple is all the same color, where low-graded can have a great deal of contrast in it. A lot to do there. But if I was going to buy a maple floor, I would want a hard maple. All of the maples we sell in our solid and first quality and cabin or blue label lines are hard maples. Okay, that company only sells hard maple, so that's a big deal. All right, this question's for me. Would you rather have walnut or hickory for your living room? I have animals and wonder if hickory's the best. If I place rugs smartly around the floor, will the walnut last just as long? All right, let me put this out front. I adore walnut. I love the looks of walnut. Growing up, our granny had a bunch of walnut trees. We'd go over there and she'd let us shoot the walnuts out of them with a .22 rifle. I don't know what the correlation is there, but I've always loved walnut. That being said, walnut has three deficiencies. One, it's very expensive, okay? Not a lot of it out there. It's hard to saw. Seems like every walnut tree in the world has had a fence against it. It's full of nails. Sawmills hate them. Two, walnut's soft. It's about like a soft maple. It does dent. It dents easily, okay? Third, walnut gets a lot lighter over time. I didn't realize it until last year. I went over to a cousin's house and he had bought this rift and quarter walnut we had. Now rift and quartered is harder than regular because of the way it's done, but his hasn't dented, but he had put it down and it faded quite a bit. I still really like the color. It was almost like an older maple floor. Did you see it? Mm-hmm. It had an interesting look, but it didn't look like it did when they put it down. It'd only been about a year. So I think if in a room that is a lot about looks and you take care of it and you don't have a tremendous amount of direct sunlight, I think walnut would be awesome. I mean, there's no prettier floor in the world, in my opinion, than maple. That being said, hickory is just the opposite. I mean, hickory is indestructible. It's the hardest domestic wood that there is. It jankas. Was it Janka 1,300 or something?
1320, I believe.
It's way up there. You're going to have a hard time denting hickory. One downside about hickory, though, is because of how hard it is, if you introduce moisture to it, it's more likely to cup. Right. So especially if you're talking about a solid hickory, if you're going with a wider board, you're much more likely to have moisture issues with it. So if you're going to buy hickory floor, either stay away from the wide boards or really keep an eye on that humidity. Spend an extra $20 on a hygrometer, stick it on the wall, and don't let it get over about 50-55%.
But her hickory will do better with her animals.
Oh yeah,
Definitely much better.
Your animals aren't going to mark up. They're not going to dent a hickory floor. And if you've got a good aluminum oxide finish, like all of our pre-finished floors do, your animals aren't going to bother that. Okay.
What's utility grade hardwood flooring there, Mr. Ted?
Well, utility grade hardwood flooring is how really cheap floors got started. One of our partners, Shaw Industries, makes wood about 50 miles from where our store is, and we bought all of their utility grade. And utility grade was rough, okay, but we sold it cheap. And when we first started selling utility, it was pretty predictable, and we did a good job telling people what was in the box, and then they could go through and they'd say, well, how much do I need to throw away? Well, that's up to you. I don't know what you're doing with it, okay? If you're trying to turn it into a first quality floor, number one floor, throw it all away and start over. But if you're, you want a cheap floor that is wood, this is your stuff. It wound up over time becoming even less attractive as the manufacturer got bad to slip multiple colors in the same box. He said, hey, we're selling it cheap, why not? So we quit carrying it. But utility grade is the lowest grade of hardwood flooring, way under a cabin grade. It's not comparable to any kind of builder or cabin grade floor whatsoever. It's really rough material.
Some of you can get some 3-inch boards in, can't you?
Yes, you can.
With no tongue and groove.
You can get it short. It may not have a tongue and groove. It may not be the right color. All it is it's wood. We have literally got them where half the box was finished on the wrong side.
Yeah.
When we first started buying it, it was all usable. It would go down. It had tongue groove. Maybe cut off on the ends, but it had tongue groove and it was all the same color. And over time, it got to where it was just absolute junk and we couldn't use it anymore. All right, here's another question about a comparable product. The Home Decorators Collection by Home Depot is $2.19. Comes with a WPC core, 12 mil wear layer, and not a hope of me buying it. All of your LVP beats this floor, right? I'm not a fan of WPC. WPC dents. $2.19 would be a good buy on that floor if it didn't dent. And it's not because it's their floor. Any WPC floor will dent. The high-end ones, the cheap ones, all of them. It's just the nature of the beast. When they sell a WPC floor, stores that like to sell them, they'll tell you, oh, this floor is quieter and it's warmer than an SPC floor. Well, it's warmer and quieter because it has a soft core. Soft is bad, okay? When you slide your chairs or you drop something on it, it puts a dent in your floor. And with an LVP floor, because they're so perfect, when you get a dent, it's almost like it's tabletop. You get a dent in it, Stevie Wonder can see it. It just shows up real bad. So, to me, if it was $1.19 and a 20 mil wear layer, I wouldn't put it in my house because there's so much work in getting a floor down. You've got to take up all your carpet. You got to move your furniture. You got to pull your trim up, putting the floor down, putting your trim down, move everything back. I don't want to do that once every 5 years, and I don't want to live with a floor that's dented. So, my opinion, stay away from WPC floors. Now, one of my suppliers is not going to like that because most of what they make is WPC. Tough break. This is our podcast, right, not theirs. And, it's what we tell what we want to tell, by golly. All right, you know what, Jason, this was a quick one. We are done for today. Listen, guys, if you have any questions, if you would like for us to answer them, if you will just email them to any of the email on the website, the contacts on the website, they will come to us and we will answer them in the following week's podcast. We love to get the questions. Otherwise, if we don't, we would have to make these up, and you don't want us making this up.
No.
That would be bad because it would be all questions that make me look really smart. All right, thanks.